this episode of the Reset Podcast. I'm your host, Laura Mignot. This is part of my 29 Days in Magic series where I get to interview 29 phenomenal Black women. And today I am so delighted to have CeCe Olisa, who's a fitness instructor and founder, on the show. She's got a great story, and I cannot wait for you all to take a listen. Let's dive right on in. Hey, CeCe, how are you?
Hi, Laura. I'm great. Thanks for having me.
I'm so glad to have you on the show. When I met you, I was like, she's just got light and wonderfulness about her, so I can't wait to talk to her. So I am super happy to have you on the show. First question, answers are always fun and entertaining. I'm sure yours will be no different. So CeCe, what was your all-time favorite job?
Oh, um, I think my all-time favorite job so far has been when my first company was like at its height. So the CurvyCon is my first company. We got acquired, and it was a beautiful thing. And it's a plus size fashion convention during New York Fashion Week, bringing, women to New York City during the best time of the year and doting on them and giving them panels and runway shows and bringing Lizzo and Chrissy Metz and Gabourey Sidibe. Like that was a great job. I love that job. I think
Oh,
if it weren't for the pandemic, who knows what would have happened, but that was a moment in time, and there are still people to this day who were deeply changed by that work. So far that's been my favorite job. I think that's the cool thing about being a founder and an entrepreneur. You get to like make new favorite jobs as you go. So far that's been my favorite job, but we'll see what comes next.
that sounds amazing. Do rewind the story. How did that all happen?
Oh my goodness, that story has been told a million different times, but it started with me being a plus size fashion blogger and community building and things like that. I've always been into women's health and women's beauty and sports. And of course, as a plus size girl, fashion has to be part of that story. So being able to bring women who don't often feel seen in the wellness space or beauty, that's kind of like what I'm passionate about. And then, of course, as a plus size woman, I've been anywhere from a size 28 to a size 16. So my community has seen me, lose 100 pounds, and they're watching me on my GLP-1 journey now. So I think it's nice to be able to put a voice to things for women who are often going through things with our bodies, with our weight, with our self-esteem, with our body image, all of that in an ever-changing world. I always any company I start really has a certain type of woman in mind. I like to serve women who are on a similar journey as me, because I think that sometimes we keep those things to ourselves, but there's so much power in community. So anything I build is typically rooted in community, and then whatever I'm passionate about gets layered on top. So the CurvyCon was community and plus size fashion.
Makes sense. So how did we get to have where did this all come from? What was that career journey like for you? How did you start out and and build this incredible journey that you had?
I think for me, I always have had like a creative side, and then I would kind of live a normal life. So I think being able to express my creativity through social media is something that like feels really good to me, and kind of as someone who's like an introverted extrovert, it's nice to know that like I can reach 100,000 people, but like do it from the cozy comfort of my own little Manhattan apartment, and like not have to like run out and be about to do that. So to have an impact on people, it kind of feels like part of my purpose at this point. And I think that my journey to loving myself through any stage of my body, I like to tell my community, don't wait on your weight to live the life you want. So kind of expressing that and making sure that I do my best to go first with these things if I really believe in something. So being transparent about my GLP-1 journey, like it wasn't easy in the beginning because body positivity kind of draws a firm line against intentional weight loss, right? So having to really explain to my community, like, yes, like I'm doing a lot of reading and understanding that like obesity is a disease, and it's not something about willpower or you're right or you're wrong or anything like that. So if we all get to be alive during a time where science is adjusting, right? Before you had a disease called obesity and people would prescribe you willpower and make you feel bad. But now if you have obesity, there is a medication. And if you had high blood pressure and someone gave you medication, you would take that. So why with the GLP-1 for someone with obesity is it this big moral, decision? We can love our bodies and still understand that with every 1 pound of pressure, with every 1 pound that we lose, we take 4 pounds of pressure off our knees. So as we age, when we think about longevity, looking at obesity as something that we could treat or not treat, and then deciding, is treatment right for you? And if so, like, how do you want to do that? Right? That conversation is new and it's scary. So I think
Yeah.
being vulnerable with that kind of stuff, it just seems to be helpful from a women's health perspective. And hopefully it'll keep, this is Black History Month. We're doing this. You want to interview Black women. Like, we need Black women around longer. We want our longevity rates to improve, right? So anything I can do to help with that conversation for women and plus size women and Black women and whatever part of that Venn diagram any of us fall into, I'm happy to do it.
No, I love that. And as someone who has sort of had this rocky road of the GOP journey for the last couple of
Mhm.
years, and I am so glad to have you talking about this, because I think there is this sort of weird stigma going on, like, wait, you don't want to exercise enough, like you just don't want to try.
Mhm.
And it's just like, that's not it. It
Mhm.
is it is actually a disease, and we have gotten to a point now where there are medications available. So if it works for you, God bless. Like, why should we feel as if that we're somehow less than, or we're taking a shortcut, when that is just not the case?
100%.
And so for you, what was sort of like your sort of moment of like reset that you were like, okay, I want to try something different?
I think I've had a few. Um, I think my most recent one was my mom passed away unexpectedly and suddenly. And I really took, my family's very close. My parents were married 46 years, so, it's like it's like dad and the three kids now. And that sort of change like rocks your world. And I took that as an opportunity to reset. I slowed my life down a lot. I downsized a lot so I wouldn't have to work as much. I took a couple of years off. I went to Japan. I went to travel. I went away. Like, I took the time to heal and to decide what I wanted out of life next. I kind of figured something explosive like that, doesn't happen every time. So I read a book that said, like, in general, you can think of grief as at minimum as a 2-year process. So giving myself 2 years, I mean, I'm privileged to be able to do that, but giving myself 2 years to just like take it all in and decide what I want next. Now I can work on my next company, my beauty company, and now I can work on my next 50 pounds that I want to release. And now I can work on, being more intentional with the way I live my life behind the scenes. So that reset, I think a lot of times as Black women, we have to push through, right? Like, we have to um, walk and chew gum at the same time emotionally in some ways. And so to be able to take that time apart, my heart broke for the people who go through grief and like have to go to work the next day, the people who have to go through grief and still have a boss that needs a report that was due whenever, right? Have
Mhm.
kids that they still have to take care of, have other parents that they still have to take care of. So any sort of, we are in this era of like rest and looking at that as more of a wellness practice as well. I think when it comes to grief, the process of like feeling the feelings and letting them flow and walking through that seasonality, for me, it gave room for like a reset overall. So now with my career, I feel very I feel very like the sky is the limit because I've taken time to be like, oh, this is what I don't like about the work I've been doing. This is what I do like about the work I've been doing. This is what I want my future to look like. Okay, well, if that's the case, then you need to be doing this so that that works out, right? So just taking everything apart because I'm like, look, everything fell apart anyway, like our world, my family's world, we will never be the same. And, that speaks to the love that we have for each other. But it's also like, never waste a crisis.
Well, I mean, it is so very true, where it's just like, and also being able to take the time to actually do that is such a blessing, and not to take that for granted and like, well, let me just still try and push through and like I'll still figure it out, versus like, no, it's been a big theme of this year's roster of women for 29 days about like actually taking the rest and then not being like you're doing something for anybody else other than yourself, because if we don't rest we will not be here.
Mhm.
Like it is just a fundamental difference that we have to have of like accepting that, yeah, no, rest is it's our right. It's not something where I have to like schedule it in. Like just take the moment and have the ability to actually give yourself that grace. Also, we had like, again, the last 6 years have been wildly traumatic on many, many levels
Yes.
for everyone, and we haven't, and a lot of folks have not had a moment to breathe as a
Yes.
result of that. And so when you do get that chance, do take it and run with it, and
Mhm.
find what matters to you.
I do put rest in my calendar though, just for the record. I literally have blocks in my calendar that are like, do nothing, like right here. And like, if something infringes on that, I adjust it, right? So some of us,
Nice.
like sometimes we do have to schedule it in, or, that creep of time. And because we are giving people and we do have big hearts, right? So sometimes balancing all of that, sometimes you do have to, I have gym appointments in my calendar, all that kind of stuff.
You're gonna have to teach me how to do this, because like I will put the gym in the calendar and then I will ignore the gym in my calendar. But everything else that's in my calendar gets taken
Mhm.
care of. So,
Mhm.
do you have any advice for me so that I can actually prioritize that? 'Cause
That's a good
it's
question.
a challenge.
I feel like one, I would I would say for myself, whenever I was in that space that you just described, I was like overextending myself. So telling myself like, okay, it's going to be 5 days a week, like starting now. And like that's sometimes not realistic, right? So I think my
Yeah.
first thing would be like just put a couple of appointments on your calendar, one during the weekend where you have a little bit more bandwidth, and then one during the week. Maybe it's a Monday and you just push through and you get it done. And then I also think if you are a gym person, having a gym that you actually like, I think is helpful. Like for me, the gym is like a whole experience. I like make the most of it. And I also have a walking pad at home. So sometimes it's just about we're going to get these steps in, we're going to get this cardio in. Sometimes it isn't the trip to the gym. Sometimes it's like walking to a train a little further, getting it in tiny bites, right? So just making it work for you. I feel like the pressure part of it all is like when it gets like to feel icky. I always want my movement to feel joyful.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I am so good at being super organized and living and dying by a calendar, but like I always put the gym back, and it's annoying. 'Cause I'm like, no, it should be different. But I do like the idea of like maybe doing like the Monday and like the weekend to sort of get me back in. I love sports. I love being outdoors. So it's just like it's just hard. And also, the gym is in my building, so there really isn't an excuse.
Ooh, talent.
I know. Oh, it's literally the elevator goes directly to the gym in the building.
See,
Like,
part of my reset when my mother passed away, I moved from a fancy gym in the basement building to our family's Manhattan apartment, which is more modest. There is no gym included, right? So when I did have a gym in the basement, I was a 4 day a week, 5 a.m. gym girly because it was downstairs, because I knew, when you're in the city and you have to like do the schlep, like I was like, I'm not gonna take it, like I'm not gonna take it for granted that I have it right there. So yes, you have to do your 2 days. You are required.
okay, all right. Well, now that CeCe has yelled at me, I,
You text
I,
me and I'm gonna give you 2 weeks.
all right,
See?
all right, all right. Jeez, oh man, like, oh gosh, I put those
It's in the
down.
basement. That's a different story. That's a different
Yeah,
story.
I know. Okay, all right. Damn, girl. Okay. All right, okay, all right. Since you have now shamed and bullied me
Never
on my
shame,
own
never
show.
shame, never shame.
Okay, bullying. There was some serious bullying there. Generally, I'm the one who's doing the bullying, so I
I see your
actually,
potential. That's all it
I gotta.
was. We were rooting for you. We were all rooting for
I'm
you.
rooting for you. Look, I just saw a documentary. It came from a place of care. It came from a place of care. Oh my
Goodness.
gosh. Okay. All right. So yes, I think also the other thing, I am not a morning person. Like
Fair enough. Fair
I
enough. The 5 a.m. off the table.
there's literally there's no universe on the planet. And I would have to be abducted by aliens to me again at 5 o'clock in the morning.
5
Anything.
a.m. is not
Uh,
required, but I feel like gym in the
not my
basement
ministry.
twice a week is reasonable to ask. So get back to me. Let
Okay.
me know. Let me know
Okay.
if you have to adjust.
Okay, fine. Okay, all right. So actually a good question to ask you about this on this kind of health and wellness journey. If you are someone like me who again is busy but doesn't prioritize it, what are the things you should be doing? Because we hear a lot about doing a lot of weightlifting because that's good for women who are over in our 40s, and also doing cardio. Like, what are some of like the kind of the brass tacks basics things that to get us back into it that are like not the easiest, but like are good ways to sort of get kind of routine in?
I think the number one thing that I see women struggling with is separating the fitness from the food, right? Your food journey is different than your fitness journey. How much you're eating, what you're eating, that's going to affect your overall health. I would say give that 80%, and then your activity is probably 20% affecting your health. So I think for those of us who grew up like, at least me, for me growing up, if you wanted to like shed some pounds, you would like hit the gym, right? That's kind of like how I grew up. But starting to understand that actually, no, like that part of your wellness, if it's something that you're trying to change, if you're trying to release any weight, that the food intake and the quality of the food is going to be the major thing. So I think uncoupling that for me when I work out, like when they call your calves like your second heart. So like every time you walk, you're pumping blood back up to your heart, right? Think about like gravity, right? So for those of us who want to make sure our circulation is good for cardiovascular health, like walking that 30 minutes when I was 19, 20, 21 was about losing weight. Now for me, walking that 30 minutes is about, no, that's my second heart. So if I don't want any like swelling in my ankles, or if I like, no, I'm going to travel, like I'm helping my circulation to stay flowing, right? So that has nothing to do with weight loss. Actually, I would do that no matter what was going on. So I think uncoupling that is very important, and then deciding for yourself, like, okay, for my fitness, I want to work on flexibility, I want to work on strength, to your point, right? Especially as we age. And then looking at the food. Do you know the types of foods that are supportive and unsupportive to your body and to your goals? Those are two different things. There could be two people that have the same goals. One person has PCOS, one person doesn't, right? So then this person can eat these things. This person might not want to eat those things. It might not be as supportive. So I think looking at those two things and not mashing them together. Sometimes people are like, well, I'm in the gym 5 days a week, but you're not paying attention to the food, right? Or you're like paying attention to the food and then suddenly you're looking very like gaunt and you're not strong, right? Like you've lost your muscle mass. That can happen, especially if you're doing a GLP-1. You can lose your muscle mass when you're losing weight rapidly. So if you are on a GLP-1, yes, that strength training is going to be important for all of us. The cardiovascular health is important, walking, swimming, things like that. And then the food, of course, is going to be a little bit more tailored to each of our needs, but that's actually the bulk of your wellness is going to happen in the kitchen, in the food that you're taking in. So I hope that was a simple breakdown and not too complicated.
Easy for me to understand. It's like, yes, my diet is interesting.
We'll deal with that later.
It could be a lot better. Let's put it that way. But like again, since you've already bullied me about working out, that's fine. No, it's true though, because I think folks are very busy and they sort of again take their health for granted. And I've just seen too many friends of mine, well, develop all manner of health issues over, once they've hit like mid-30s, early 40s. And so of course it's important to like pay attention to all this sort of things and actually, get all the right testing done so they can figure out what may be up for you, what might be elevated for you, high blood pressure, all those kinds of things. But then also, yeah, you're right, decoupling the thing about you can work out till you're blue in the face, but if you're eating hamburgers every day, that's not going to really help. Like, not going to do the trick. Sorry, like. So I think that is really, really important for us to understand the importance of like getting all our kind of ducks in the row, health wise, eating wise, and having them be decoupled as opposed to like, well, it's one or the other. That's, I think, a super important advice. kind of looking back on the things that you've done and the journey you've been on, what do you think you'd probably tell 18-year-old CeCe?
I would tell 18-year-old Cece that love is a verb. It is an action word. It is something that you do. And so looking at love through that lens, I think can beautifully vet any type of love, whether it's self love, romantic love, platonic love, right? If the action of that love doesn't feel good or doesn't feel right, or there's something off, or it's not supportive or productive, then maybe it's not the love for you, right? I think that from a self love perspective, love as a verb has been a big part of why I've moved into beauty. I went with a body care company because, as someone who has had a complicated relationship with her body, loving my body needed to have some actions to it, right? Some of that is working out and going to the gym. Some of that is the food that I eat. And some of that is that I am a religious, body butter, moisturizer doll. Like that, to know me is to know my soft skin, right? And that doesn't come from nowhere and it happens over time. That is self-love. That is a part of it, right? So love is a verb. And what does that look like to you? How do you show love to yourself first? And then think about how you show love for others.
Is beautiful, CeCe. I love this. Again, oh my gosh, in 400 episodes of the podcast, I don't think anyone's ever said that as their 18-year-old advice, but that is phenomenal and so important. Oh my
Mhm.
gosh. I do think it's so necessary to love ourselves and then act on those on that love. So yeah,
Mhm.
from the same year, I love a good moisturizer. Like, it's like but also feeling that for yourself is so imperative, especially when you feel like the world around you doesn't want to love you.
Mhm.
And so being able to be like, yes, I'm going to act on this love for myself, which means take
Mhm.
care of myself, treat myself good, take myself
Mhm.
shopping. I'm going to take
Mhm.
myself shopping. I'm going to take myself shopping. Like,
Treat yourself. Treat yourself.
treat yourself. It is an act of love. It is an act of love. Um, so that's so very important, and I think we have to remember that, like, yeah, find the joy and find the love in
Mhm.
all these elements, and like that starts with
Mhm.
yourself. Like, if you're not feeling
Mhm.
awesome, how can you help anybody else if you're not
Yeah.
feeling great?
Yeah.
And kind of talking about more about how you feeling good and feeling great. What's one thing you're really grateful for right now?
Mm. You know, I journal every morning, and for the past, I think ever since that first snow and freeze that we had, just being in an apartment with warmth and food and just shelter, like the basics these days. I think there's so much happening in our world, and there's nothing that we can take for granted right now. There are things that we have seen that we never thought we would see. And so sometimes keeping it down to the basics, like I will start my day with gratitude. Like, my goodness, I woke up in this warm, cozy bed. The radiator is on, okay? Like, up, but that's a blessing. There are people who had to go and be in a warmth center in a van because they don't have a place to be, right? So, just listening to the ways that, like, our new mayor, Mamdani, is just like the things he's saying to the city and the things that are available. I'm like, oh my goodness, to not need that type of service is a blessing, especially in today's world when everything is so unprecedented.
As they say, unprecedented times. That cause us like it's like, yeah, that's what we want to call it. All right, great, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah, you're right. And I think that's, it is a gift. Every day is a gift. And
Mhm.
the most important thing we can try and do is to live a good life. Uh,
Mhm.
and, be good to other people and not try and do 11 million crazy. No, no, just good. Like, just be good,
Mhm.
man. It doesn't have to, you don't have to solve every problem in 35 seconds, one step at a time.
Mhm.
Grateful for the day and whatever the day may bring. Great. Embrace it all. Is so very important. Now, my last question for you, I think it'll be some interesting ones you'll say. Do you have a give and or an ask of the audience?
Goodness. Trying to think of something I can give. What can I give? Um, I'm in such a just open space right now. So it's not like I have something to promote or sell. I'm just here for the vibes and the good conversation. So I think I have a TEDx talk called How to Build Self-Confidence. So if you Google how to build self-confidence, typically my TEDx is what comes up. If not, Google how to build self-confidence CeCe. And it's about 12 minutes and people seem to be inspired by it. So that will be my give. If you are in a space where you are trying to reset, if you're trying to step into a new version of yourself and you feel like confidence is something that you're lacking, perhaps my TEDx will be something that will inspire you. That's what I can give right now. Hopefully in the future I'll have something else, but that's what I can give for now.
That's a fabulous one. Girl, you have a TED Talk. Yeah, I think that's a great thing to give. What's wrong with you? We will happily put that in the show notes for folks to go and take a listen to, and spend 12 minutes learning how to build some confidence. Because honestly, that is probably one of the most important things that we can have at this particular moment. Like, damn, I'm good. Yep. So if you can listen to that for 12 minutes, because I'm sure it will sound amazing. That's a pretty impressive gift, CeCe. Let's not.
I'm glad that worked out.
It is not complicated here. We make this very simple. I mean, you could have given hey, here's a good piece of advice. It doesn't matter. But if you literally have a TED Talk about self-confidence, that's kind of a major gift. I'm just saying, that is pretty awesome that you are able to bring to the forefront, folks. My goodness. But CeCe, like I said, from the moment I met you, I was like, wow. Yep. Wonderful light and just bursting full of wisdom with some great tips on how to be healthier and a little bit smarter. And you bullied me, which is a first, which I find actually, I appreciate that. I actually did. And I actually, because again, I am a woman of my word. So if someone tells me to do something, I actually do it. So now that you told me I have to do Monday and Saturday, I'm gonna start with Monday and Saturday. I will send you a text and be look, I'm in the gym in my building, so I can't not go.
I can't wait to see it.
But it's been such a delight having you on the show. We'll put all your details in the show notes for folks to find you and follow you, and also find your amazing TED Talk. And thank you for being 29 Season Magic, CeCe. It's been a delight.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. And that is our show.
Oh, please, not that music. That music gives me nightmares from my childhood.
Could we get something a little bit lighter, some lighter music here?
Are you a fan of true crime TV shows?
And what about Unsolved Mysteries, the show that jump-started all of our love of true crime?
I'm Ellen Marsh.
And I'm Joey Taranto.
And we host I Think Not, a true crime comedy podcast covering some of the wildest stories from your favorite true crime campy TV shows all the way to Unsolved Mysteries.
Baby, you will laugh, you will cry, you'll think about true crime in a whole new way, and you'll also ask yourself, who gave these people mics?
New episodes of I Think Not are released every Wednesday, with bonus episodes out every Thursday on Patreon.
And every Monday, you can listen to our True Crime Rundown, where we go over the top true crime headlines of the week.
So come and join us wherever you listen to your podcasts.
From the parents behind Law & Order comes a mystery the whole family can enjoy. Patrick Picklebottom Everyday Mysteries. Step into the whimsical world of Patrick Picklebottom, a precocious 11-year-old with a love for reading and an uncanny ability to solve mysteries. Inspired by the beloved children's book of the same name, this podcast vividly brings Patrick's tales of deduction and everyday adventures to life as he unravels baffling enigmas and solves clever cases. Patrick Picklebottom Everyday Mysteries is perfect for kids and is just as entertaining for grown-ups who love a good mystery. The whole family can listen now wherever you get your podcasts.